Welcome to another episode of Talking College Football with JJ Kitchen. Of course, I'm your host, JJ Kitchen. Guys, I think today is going to be more of one of those negative podcasts. And there were crazy to think about. There were some positives, but there is a lot of blame to go around, and we'll talk about some of the blame that needs to be put on some of the coaches, but also to the players, but also to I'm not going to be one of those fans you saw yesterday that just the sky is falling. Everything's on this certain player or this certain coach. There's injuries in certain portions of this football team that need to be addressed. But there's a lot of stuff here that was truly in control of Pitt and that they just truly failed on Saturday. Pitt suffering a 37-9 loss, an embarrassing loss, horrific effort. I truly think on both sides of the football, when Eli Holstein went out of this football game, it was over. And watching the tape back, I've got some questions about guys that truly maybe didn't show their full effort. And there was a number of those. Players having temper tantrums on the sideline because they're not playing as much as they think they should, even when the production shows that they're not playing well and other guys were playing at a high level. We'll talk about the pros of a guy like Sean Fitzsimmons, had one hell of a day yesterday. He's going to be a great defensive tackle at Pitt. Kyle Lewis continues to play at a high level. There's a number of guys in this football team that truly care about Pitt and truly care about winning football games. And then there's a lot of guys that just really, truly don't care. And hopefully those things get sorted out, and hopefully those players hit the portal, because I think it's becoming to that point, and that's kind of where we are. That's kind of where we are at this point. But also, too, there may be some coaching changes coming on both sides of the football, which I think need to be addressed, especially, too, as we hit the last game of the regular season against Boston College. But we'll wrap that up. But before we get into it, guys, the show is sponsored by Colonial Beer, located at 4986 Library Road in Bethel Park, PA, 15102. Guys, go over and see my friends. I got a bunch of new stuff here. This is Jack Daniels. You would think it's like the liquor ones or whatnot, but it's more of a beer than it is liquor, so they're able to sell it in the stores. Something different to pop up. We'll try that tonight. We certainly need it after a game that we saw Pitt just absolutely play horrific football against Louisville. But make sure you go over and see them. They're great, two great Pitt men's season ticket holders, but also, too, they also support monthly and yearly with Alliance 412, which is the preferred collective of the University of Pittsburgh. So they do their part in supporting the University of Pittsburgh. But more importantly, when you're in there, great customer service. They have a plenty of selection between your heavier beers, your light lagers, and also, too, a little bit of that half and half, a little bit of that cocktail where you have the Jack Daniels berry. This is a berry punch, more of a beer than anything else. Very cool. We'll try that tonight with something different that was there. Also, too, when you're in there, tell them that JJ Kitchen from Talking College Football sent you. Tremendous people over Colonial Beer. Go ahead and see them over there at 4986 Library Road in Bethel Park, PA, 15102. Always great to support them and always supporting them because, one, they do a tremendous job and helping a small business, but also, two, how much they do to support Alliance 412, which is the preferred collective of the University of Pittsburgh. Also, too, Thompson Law Group with Brian Thompson, an attorney on your side. Right now, with many people struggling with the economy and rising costs, they're helping many people and businesses with their debts, and they're offering free telephone consultations to those to assess all options available to those who are struggling, no matter the type of amount of debt they currently have. You can reach them at 724-799-8404 or reach them and see them at thompsonattorney.com. Again, guys, I know Brian personally. I personally use him. He's a lot different than anybody you'll see in the terms of the larger law firms, where larger law firms will treat you like a number. With Brian Thompson, you're not going to be treated like a number. You'll be treated as truly the individual, a guy that he truly cares about. Doesn't matter where you come from or what your need is. He wants to see the best result for you, which makes Brian truly one of the best. Brian also does a tremendous job with helping the community. Personally, I've seen him hand over fist the amount of stuff he's done in the community. Comes from a great family and has a great family. Any type of questions you have for any type of attorney needs, give a call out to him. If he can't handle it, he'll certainly point you in the right direction with good people. That's what makes Brian truly the best at what he does. He will get you the results that you need no matter what. Again, guys, call them at 724-799-8404 or visit them at thompsonattorney.com. Guys, again, if you have not done so, hit the like button, subscribe, and also, too, hit the down below the super chat button. I can imagine we're already up over 150 people so far in here. There'll be some questions coming in here, rolling in. If you haven't done so, subscribe to the channel, like the video. It certainly helps out the algorithm. But more importantly, I appreciate all your support and what we're doing here to bring you the best content, but the no bullshit content. And guess what? There's going to be no bullshit today, because what we saw on Saturday, that was bullshit. So we'll be going over a bunch of that today. Obviously, too, again, subscribe and like the video. And also, too, if you want your questions seen on the screen, hit the super chat button down below. It'll highlight on my screen, and I'll throw it up on the screen. Guys, first off, again, Pitt loses 37-9 yesterday. There's a lot to go around. And through numerous calls and through numerous conversations that I had after that football game, from people that I know that are very well connected in terms of what goes on, we're going to call it what it is. We're just going to get it out of the way with, first off, the players. They were players on that field yesterday that quit. And when I went back and I watched the game, because I wasn't at home being able to watch the game. I was actually at a Friendsgiving event and having a good time, and we had the game on. And when I had the game on, we were watching a little bit of it. Obviously, I was mingling here and there between people I was talking to, and trying not to be a bad guest by watching the game. I went back and watched the game last night. And when you're able to have the opportunity to go back and watch players and watching guys on the field, but also too watching players on the sidelines, it was embarrassing. That's not the Pitt football team that I saw for the first 7, 8, 9 games of the year. Even at 7-2, guys, at the end of the day, this was a 7-3 football team going into this game. In the first 2 drives of the game on offense, this football team looked completely different than what we've seen in other weeks. With Eli Holstein in there, this team was moving the football at will. There was no questions asked. They were moving the football at will. They were doing what they wanted. Eli Holstein obviously made a bad throw at interception on the first drive. Everything besides that was great. If he lobs it, it's a touchdown pass. But then again, the way they were moving the football, I didn't have a problem with it, because they were going to score regardless because of how they were moving the football. The minute that the hip tackle happened, and then Eli had a roll up on his ankle, which I feel horrible about. I mean, this kid has been fighting tooth and nail. Same thing with Nate Yarnell. I mean, he was banged up going into this week too. That was so hard to watch. And when that happened, the team almost completely and recklessly fell apart. I don't know why Jackson Brown did not start at right tackle. You know, I understand he had 3 or 4 sacks last week against, Clemson. He did face TJ Parker, a first-round draft pick, a day 1 draft pick, who I guarantee will be going to the NFL in the first round this year. I mean, that's a fact. But in his first career start, besides that, he had numerous dropbacks where he did really, really well. So he didn't play. I didn't understand that at all. I understand if you want to rotate guys in and out to see who's really the best player and give guys, and numerous guys. Also, too, I think Terrence Eno should be a guy that should be getting more repetitions at the left tackle position, at the left guard position. Terrence Moore, I thought, did a lot better this week, getting a full week of practice. Obviously, with Lyndon Cooper out, now we're missing 3 starting offensive linemen. We're missing now the starting quarterback. C.J. Lee's out. But the thing that kills me is the way that some guys just truly didn't give a shit if they won or lost. That's really what really bothered me. And again, I'm not going to call guys out. You guys can go back and watch the film too, and go back and watch the game. There are certain guys on that football field that I question their effort. And I watched body language on the sideline, players throwing temper tantrums because certain guys are getting more time. The reality is, in the world of NIL, players are being paid. There needs to be maximum effort every single time. And what truly kills me is that how in God's name can you not be going full tilt when you're a 7-3 football team? Partially that has something to do with Narduzzi. Partially that has something to do with Cade Bell, this coaching staff, you name it. I get that. But as a player, you can't force the players to want it. Kirby Smart always says it best. You got to want this shit as much as I do. And I truly do not understand where this stuff is coming from. I don't understand where the notion comes from that players in their minds, from what I heard, is that, well, it's a 7-3 football team. There's nothing to play for anymore because we're not competing for an AC title anymore. I don't get it. I truly don't. Coach Roybal, today's world. I know, right, Coach? If you don't follow Coach Roybal on Twitter or on X, go ahead and do so. He's a tremendous football coach, tremendous individual. I love him dearly. And obviously, he's over at the Hall of Fame football podcast with Jason Watkins. Give them a follow. Coach is the best. But guys, one thing that I noticed, man, in today's world of NIL and guys are being paid, I truly think that Pitt needs to go the way of treating this like an NFL franchise, and the guys that don't want to play hard or don't think that they're just owed time on the football field, they need to go into the portal. Because I am absolutely equivocally shocked at what I watched when I went back and watched the replay. And I'm not talking about all the players, okay? Guys like Sean Fitzsimmons, Kyle Lewis, Rasheem Biles, Rylan Gandy had a bad game, but that guy still plays his ass off. Taman Lynham still plays his ass off. Eli Holstein still played his ass off. Nate Yarnell still played his ass off. The guy went in there injured because of how many times and how many hits he took last week. But you saw the difference in the quarterback play between Nate Yarnell and Eli Holstein. Also, too, I know I'm going to get a bajillion comments in the comment section here. The buyout for Pat Narduzzi is through the roof. So, and again, is there blame to be tossed on Pat Narduzzi? Yes, I do. I do have my dilemmas with him because at times, it can't keep happening in year 9, year 10. We're now in year 10. It just can't keep happening. But the one thing that has to be understood here too is that this team has suffered a lot of injuries, devastating injuries. I saw a Penn State fan say, well, it's not like every team doesn't go through injuries. When you've lost 3 offensive linemen, you've lost your starting quarterback, you've lost a starting wide receiver, you've lost starting defensive linemen, you've lost starting safeties. I mean, eventually, this shit's going to pick up. It's a young football team. That has to be understood. But when it comes to effort in a football game, on a 7-3 football team, you're being paid. Not all the players, but the majority of the players are being paid. I don't care what it is. There's absolutely zero reason to not give 110% full effort. There's no reason to not be coachable from top to bottom. There's no reason to be throwing temper tantrums because there's a guy getting more playing time over you when that guy deserves it. It's that simple. I understand the next up, the next man up mentality. I understand that. But there has to be an understanding of, hey, there's not a lot of depth. Guys need to step up. If you're not going hard every play, then I don't know what you're doing playing college football at the Division I level. Maybe the FCS or Division II, Division III. There's other places to go to. But the players need to be going full tilt all the time, especially when they're getting paid. If they normally weren't getting paid, I wouldn't be coming down on them. But guys are receiving money. Then that leads me to the coaching staff. When you go from 7-0 to now 7-4, there needs to be changes. I think there are some guys on this staff that truly just don't care. That truly don't. And it's almost like a stepping stone or a stepping stone job. I truly don't get it. Your job is to get these players to push in the beginning of the week and to the end of the week. Great coaches find ways to motivate players and to understand where they are. How is a team like Louisville, who was 6-4, and just lost to Stanford last week, 38-35, get up in a rally in a half-filled stadium at Louisville and just outplay you to that degree? It should not happen. There are some coaches that are not making adjustments. Watching this defense go from last week to this week, clearly there were new coverages that Pitt was running compared to last week. They were clearly players that convincingly messed up on numerous defensive back plays where it didn't matter what coverage they were running. It didn't matter. But the missed tackles, The out of place in coverage. You run it in practice. You practice it all week. I don't care if it's a new coverage you're running this week. You practiced it. How do you not know what the hell you're doing? It's just consistent week over week over week. I said it before on this football staff. Besides Corey Sanders, besides Archie Collins, besides Ryan Manilak, besides Cade Bell, I don't know who's safe on this coaching staff. Because I understand they're young, and there's a lot of guys who are just getting to this level, and there's certain players in and out that truly need work. I get it. But there's so much stuff from a top to bottom standpoint that you just have to mind-blowingly look at and just go, what the hell are we doing? And I think Cade Bell, I think he still is a damn good offensive coordinator. There's guys open. Now, are there bad play calls? Yeah. When you're running thoroughly up the middle between the guards and the centers and not extending out, you're doing a good job running those plays and gaining yards. Why are we running off the tackle runs? Why are we throwing screen passes on the outside when they're not working? Throw the ball down the football field. And I get it. We don't have a lot of time to throw. I understand that there's not a lot of time to throw. But when you have the option to go down the football field and your checkdowns are right there in front of you, whether it's the running back is coming out of the backfield, or a guy through the slot, a guy in the flat, find them. That's fine. Send your guys deep, over the middle. But whether it's post patterns, curls, anything, slant patterns, something quick to go over the middle of the field. Find those guys. Also, too, on fourth down, why it's not fair to be putting Zion Fowler-L in the football game. It's not fair to be putting Jules Goff in the football game. That's not Cade Bell. That's the coaches. And I get it. If they feel like maybe some guys aren't playing to their full potential, aren't going hard, I get it. But on fourth down and short, why is Jules Goff in the game? That's not fair. The kid's a true freshman. I get it, maybe on first or second down or third down. I get it. But important downs of the game where they haven't played all year, why are we putting that much pressure on the player? Those are coaching decisions. Then at the end of the game, I understand Desmond Reed not wanting to come out of the game because he's playing his ass off and he wants to win. But when you clearly are getting your ass kicked and you have no potential of winning the football game, you got to get guys out. You got to get them out of the game. Thank God that Narduzzi eventually just said, you know what? We're getting this kid killed. We need to get Nate Yarnell out of the game. I know for a fact that Nate Yarnell was hurt all week in practice. He did not practice. He did not take any snaps. He was still hurt going into this game because of last week. So they finally pulled him out. But even during the game, he just didn't look good at all. It was so out of sync. Watching that replay was just, I had a headache from watching that game. David Lynch comes in, who's a walk-on quarterback, which I give him credit. He tried his best. He actually threw some good balls. I give him credit. The kid worked his tail off. But where's Ty Diefenbach? The kid's a scholarship quarterback. Where's Julian Duggar? Are those guys? From a coaching standpoint, are they just that not? Are they that bad? I watched Ty Diefenbach in the spring game, fall camp. Why would you not give a guy like that a shot in a game where you know you're going to lose? Just the mind-blowingly bad decisions. And that gets back to Narduzzi. Pat Narduzzi has continually done this over time. And look, again, I understand. We were a 3-9 football team last year. We went through drastic changes, coaching staff changes, player additions through the portal and through recruiting, true freshman recruiting. I get it. But, I truly want fans to understand. I know that Alan Green is the new athletic director, and things will roll and things will change, and there is going to be a number of different things that will change from top to bottom. But, the buyout for Pat Narduzzi is through the roof, guys. It's well over $25 million. I'm telling you right now, guys, it's over that. The only thing going forward that I can guess is that eventually there's going to become a conversation, not after this year, because it won't happen after this year. Sorry, guys, just making sure I don't have any super chats here. Just making sure. Sorry, I go in a rant there. Um, you go into a tailspin when you're watching this team struggle mightily from tail in and tail out. You got to start maybe wondering if there's going to be a conversation that maybe retirement's an option. Because at the end of the day, we can talk about Narduzzi and everything else, guys. I mean, at the end of the day, he's won a conference title. He's been to the ACC championship twice. He's had an 11-win season. He won 20 games in 2 years. He's been ranked 3 of the last 4 years for Pitt. There has been some stability there. But just to see this defense absolutely just get throttled in the first half seems to be that there's just a constant continuum of this just happens too often. And I understand fans being upset, saying it's constant. But I put it on both. Yes, there was bad coaching. Yes, there was bad play. But also, too, people say that injuries are not an excuse. At the end of the day, when you lose your starting quarterback, who's clearly, there's a clear drop-off between QB1 and QB2, and then you lose 3 offensive linemen, you lose a wide receiver, eventually there has to be some type of say. I know Pitt's going to be active in the portal for offensive linemen. I know Pitt's going to be active in the portal for wide receivers. I know Pitt's going to be active in the portal after this year because Gavin Bartholomew's gone. Luckily, Jake Overman will be back. Malachi Thomas is still there, so that's great, but they're going to have to add another tight end. They're going to be active in the defensive end market, but all of that stuff takes money. It takes NIL funds, and I still think that while Alliance 412 has gotten a lot better, Chris Bickle, who is the CEO of Alliance 412, has stated Pitt will be elite in tiers when it comes to spending and revenue sharing. When you read that ESPN article that he was in, but still, it needs to get better. Fans need to jump on board with this. And, for me, people ask me, well, why do you still support Alliance 412, all this shit? I mean, guys, we are shareholders in this football team. If you want to see it do better, you can't just pull funds because then you don't have funds to get new players, and then you're in a spin cycle all the time. You got to support Alliance 412. It's a fact. But the fact is, moving forward, there has to be some changes. And there has to be some guys maybe pushed through the portal, pushed out. Because when players aren't playing to their highest degree and they're being paid, it's a lot like the NFL. If you can't play and you won't play, then it's time to go somewhere else. I know, guys, I'll get to the comments here in a second. I know there's a lot of them coming in. If you have a super chat, hit the super chat button so I can see it. But, guys, overall, watching that football game was disgraceful. I mean, to hear that there were players and coaches saying that, more players that there's just nothing to play for because they're 7-3 and they're out of the title race. It's just mind blowing to me. I don't get it. And I think eventually there's going to come a time where, that conversation happens with Alan Green and Pat Narduzzi that maybe it's time to move on. Personally, I want it to go out the right way. I don't want Pat Narduzzi fired. He's been here for 10 years. At the end of the day, the buyout's insurmountable. Retirement is the only thing they could really look at this point. When you look at this team, I know, and trust me, I heard enough from donors last night. Christ, the amount of DMs and texts I got. I get it. They're upset, and they want change. But I think that overall, the one thing that stood out, and I saw Pittsburgh Sports Now put it out today, which is a fact. When Eli Holstein plays a full game, Pitt is 6-1 this year. I'm sorry, 6-1, because the seventh win that they got, Eli Holstein went out of the game, and that was versus Cal. And Yarnell came in, and they still won that football game. All right, getting some of these comments here. Guys, I know there's plenty. Guys, if you super chat it, I'll be able to see it, but I'm not going to be able to get it to all these at night. I see them going through there. Bad coaching, truly bad coaching. Yeah, that happens. Let's see here. Coach, I agree with you 100%, brother. If you're not playing hard every play, your teammates, then your butt and then go to another team. Then take your butt and go to another team. Coach, I agree. I mean, I was just absolutely shocked to watch film and to have conversations that said, there were just some guys that weren't playing hard. And again, I give a shout out to players like that just prepare day in and day out and that want to win football games. Going through a number of these things here. Yeah, Bell needs to evaluate his coaches. Yeah, I agree. I think there's potentially maybe one or two guys that you look at and you say, maybe, you know what, maybe they're just not getting it done. I can understand them saying the talent's not there. I get it. Not to mention giving up a 50 to 60-yard TD. Yeah, and on that TD too, people were asking about that. From what I can tell, is that they clearly ran a new coverage. They ran a new coverage that they had to do a practice this week. Somebody was out of place, and look, that kind of stuff's going to happen. But at the same time, the players should know where the hell to be. I mean, that just comes down to coaching, and that also comes down to players executing plays. I mean, at the end of the day, if coaches are coaching and players can execute it, I mean, at the end of the day, that's not coaching. That's just execution. I can tell you this. Archie Collins and Corey Sanders and Ryan Manilak are tremendous football coaches. They have developed numerous guys on this roster. They're damn good coaches. I think that the overall acumen and the overall results show that. Those guys, they work their asses off. I think Randy Bates, for his entire time here, has done a really good job. But we're watching sometimes where I even tweeted out, prime example, in the first drive of the game, Pitt is showing a corner blitz. Clearly sees that. He calls an audible, sees the blitz coming from a corner blitz. Automatically, you can see a prime example. You can see the wide receiver on the inside slot move to the outside, move back onto the line of scrimmage, more to the outside. He does a quick bubble on the outside, right on the line of scrimmage, right where that blitz is coming from, and he's wide ass open. Sometimes we blitz just way too much. We're just too aggressive. And I understand there's probably some take and give because they're saying, hey, look, we're not getting enough pressure with our front four. I get that. So you're kind of doing a give and take. Eventually, when you're not getting enough pressure, you got to bring pressure from somewhere. But overall, when you're watching this game, I mean, guys are just out of position, and they're just so far off of these wide receivers. I'm watching this. I'm like, what the hell are we doing? And just immediately, just like the offense, the minute Holstein went out of this game, it was over. I mean, it was game, set, match to fall apart that quickly. Heather Diefenbach feels personal. Yeah, I don't know. And again, I think Ty has a lot of potential. I think Ty, I mean, just given the opportunity in a game like that, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why he didn't go in the game. I'd love to hear an explanation why. For everyone that doesn't know, this is obviously Ty Diefenbach's mother. Heather, I don't know why. And obviously I'm not there in practice and everything else, but at the same time though, I don't know why. Why two scholarship quarterbacks didn't go in the game? I don't know. If Bates retires, would Partridge come back as DC? One can dream, right? I mean, Will, at the end of the day, that's another thing too. I don't think, I don't think that Tim Dowst has done a horrific job. You were never going to get a guy as good as Charlie Partridge. Would Charlie Partridge come back as defensive coordinator? I highly doubt it. He loves coaching a position. He loves coaching ball. The NIL stuff was truly just pissing him off. And when you have, and look, I'm not going to go into the full details and whatnot. I'll probably have a members only page coming up here pretty soon and start really talking about the ins and outs of what's going on. But when you have a player, when you strike a deal in NIL and the player comes back a month later and says, well, I got an offer from this school and it's more money, and then you give that player more money, and then it comes back a second time, and then he says, hey, I want another deal, like that kind of shit's going to piss you off. I mean, let's just be honest. And also, too, there will be players that go into the portal, and I'm telling fans right now, for the love of God, it's not the end of the world. I know, because I got ridiculed from Pitt fans this offseason that Pitt wouldn't win. The amount of stuff that I got in DMs, attachments. Heck, I got a guy right now, David, who thinks, like we're accepting mediocrity. I mean, the guy's an idiot. Guys, when Deion Hayes left, Solomon DeShields left, Sammy Okunlola left, I remember guys freaking out. Bengali Kamara. People were freaking out. Oh, the sky's falling. The sky's falling. The world's going to end. Pitt won't win 9 games in 2 years. There's no way. When I said Pitt was going to go 8-4, 9-3, obviously 9-3 is out of the picture. So I'm down to my last one, 8-4. If Pitt wins this week, I'm a good man when it comes to picking 8-4. I just got to put that out there. The football team has talent. It's just young talent. It's a young football team. There are young pieces that they're going to have to keep. Kyle Lewis, Rasheem Biles, Braylon Lovelace, Sincere Edwards, Sean Fitzsimmons, Nick James, Francis Breu, Jimmy Scott. All those guys, they got to keep right there. Cruz Brookins, Jordan Bass, who else? Rylan Gandy, Taman Lynham, Shadarian Harrison. They got to keep those guys on defense. Cam Lindsey. I think Cam Lindsey's going to be a hell of a linebacker for Pitt, the 4-star out of Aliquippa. I want to see him start getting more repetitions at the linebacker position behind those guys. Obviously with Brandon George, who, he works his tail off too. He's a good leader on this football team too, and I will say that from numerous people. So is Kyle Lewis. Kyle Lewis works his ass off. That guy, it doesn't matter if Pitt was 7-0 or 0-7. Kyle Lewis is in the film room every single week. It does not matter. Kyle Lewis is a special player. And I said it before last week. Kyle Lewis was committed to Temple, decommitted from Temple to go to Pitt. People were losing their minds. Oh, Pitt can't recruit. Pitt can't grab talent. Pitt can't do anything with talent. Pitt can't find talent. Well, the kid's a talented player. The same thing with Servassier Dennis. People lost their minds. Servassier Dennis, he was a 2-star, came from a prep, wasn't going to be any good. Well, guess what? He's playing on Sundays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers behind 3-star defensive tackle Kalijah Cansey. Call a spade. And that's one thing, and it is true to a fact. I have heard from a number of recruits, from a number of players who are going into the portal that have said that Pitt churns out talent because they can develop talent. And they're not 5 stars or 4 stars or whatever. It's guys that can develop talent. And Ryan Manilak has done that. Charlie Partridge, when he was here, did that. Archie Collins, Corey Sanders, they did that. Narduzzi, just in general, was able to do that. The problem with Narduzzi is he shouldn't if Eli Holstein doesn't get hurt in the Virginia game, they win that football game. But regardless, they shouldn't have lost that game. They shouldn't have. Virginia got absolutely waxed by SMU, which, again, shout out to them. That team stuck together. They had almost a loss to Nevada in the beginning of the year. They lost a game to BYU by 5 points. Their quarterback situation was absolutely in a wreck, in an absolute, just spiraling out of control. They make a quarterback change to Kevin Jennings, and they're undefeated with Kevin Jennings this year. And they're going to an AC title game because that team stuck together and everyone clearly wanted to win football games and loved SMU. I just think that Pitt fans need to know going forward, when people talk about getting rid of Narduzzi, and I understand there are games that guy should not lose, and he just continually loses them. James Franklin almost lost a game yesterday to Minnesota. He almost lost a game to Bowling Green earlier this year, but he won those games. When it comes to different coaches, the buyout is so large. I mean, it's so big. The only thing that could really help Pitt at this point is a retirement, which I would think pretty soon here Narduzzi's going to retire because he hates the NIL stuff. He doesn't like it at all. Not that he loves players getting paid. That's a fact. But it's the fact that just players coming back 2 or 3 different times wanting more money. And also, too, Pitt does actually a good job. I mean, the amount of people that were all pissed off this year that Pitt was going to go into the season with all young linebackers besides Brandon George was absolutely hilarious. I mean, you look at the linebacker room right now, it's absolutely incredible. The amount of talent that's there. And Ryan Mantelak deserves credit for picking up that talent. But overall, guys, I mean, it just wasn't a good game. And I think it's on both. It's on both the coaches and the players. Players needing to show up, especially with them getting paid. Coaches need to do a better job of making adjustment because you can't lose 4 straight games. It doesn't matter. They should have won. You know, if Eli plays the whole game against Virginia and plays against Clemson, I think Pitt wins those 2 football games. We're not sitting here 7-4. We're sitting here at 9-1. At worst, 8-2. Just my opinion. Or what is it? 8-3. 8-3 at this point. 9-2 or 8-3. It just can't continue to happen. And the constant, non-adjustments and the defense just getting absolutely ridiculed constantly just has to stop. Not sure we can keep all those guys you mentioned, JJ, maybe Fitzsimmons since he's a Pitt guy, but I don't take any core players for granted unexpected with the portal. Yeah, Will, I disagree with you. I think there's a number of guys, and I mean, there's guys that you guys don't even know that are getting paid on this team. I mean, hell, they're paying over 40, 50 guys in this team. I mean, that's a fact. They're going to keep the guys that they know they have to keep. There's going to be guys that are getting paid on this team that aren't going to be here anymore because they're pushing out. I mean, that's a fact. They're not playing well enough. If they're not playing well enough, you got to open up a roster spot. But at the end of the day, they're going to keep the stronghold guys. Eli Holstein's going to be back. They're going to take care of him. Kyle Lewis, I expect to be back. They're going to take care of him. And again, that's why I can't tell you guys enough to support Alliance 412 because that stuff is so important. And I know I keep hitting home about it. And I know I get a bunch of shit on Twitter. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not paid by Pitt. I'm not paid by anybody. I'm telling you the truth. Every school is going through the same amount of stuff right now. Every school. I talk to coaches from the SEC, the Big 10, and the Big 12. And let me tell you something. They're all in the same realm. Everybody's in the same circle. Everyone's fighting for NIL dollars right now. It's a fact. They're all fighting like hell for it. The biggest thing they can do is going into the portal after this year. They've got one more game left. You got Boston College. Obviously, Thomas Castellanos is no longer the quarterback. He was a starting quarterback there. I thought he did well early on. Obviously, he went through a number of struggles. He's out. They have a number of injuries as well. They have a number of problems as well. They beat the snot out of North Carolina this past weekend. I think it was like 41-21 or something like that I saw. I have to watch tape on that yet. But this all goes away, and remotely, the bad mojo goes away if you win these last 2 games because they have a bowl game coming up. If you beat Boston College on the road, which at this point, Nate Yarnell, in my opinion, there should be a conversation with Nate Yarnell and Ty Diefenbach, and even Julian Duggar at this point. All 3 of those guys should be in contention to get reps this week. Find out who's the guy that can give you the best chance to win. Probably more than likely Nate Yarnell. Give him that shot, but also, too, Ty Diefenbach and Julian Duggar should be getting reps because if, God forbid, because obviously Nate Yarnell's banged up, if Nate Yarnell can't go, you have to put one of those 2 guys in and then find out which guys this week want to play. It's that simple. I don't want to hear that there's nothing to play for. Like, I've never understood that. Whether it's in sports, when we played, whether it was in grade school, high school, college, or in real life. In your career, you are fighting to win every day. It's not just a football game. It's not just a baseball game. It's not just corporate America. To have self-pride, you need to wake up in the morning and want to be truly the best you can be and be better than what you were yesterday. I always read a quote every morning. It's from Winston Churchill. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. It's that simple. It's so easy to quit. It is so easy to look at everything around you and there's problems because we all go through problems. Everyone goes through problems. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter how much money you got, how little money you got. Everybody goes through problems. Everybody goes through difficulties. But you got to stay tunnel vision into what your goals are, what you want to be. How is your character want to be over? How do you want to be looked at your character? How do you truly want to help other people? How do you want to help, in this case, your football team? How do you want to help your teammates? Because you're going out there and you're fighting with your brothers. It's that simple. You're going to war. I thought it was a great speech by Cal's quarterback, Carlos Mendoza. They completed a 98-yard touchdown drive to beat Stanford yesterday. And just to see the emotion out of that kid and talk about, we went 98. I went 98 yards with my brothers. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. You are out there with your brothers. You're out there to get a win. You're playing a kid's game. You're playing college football at the highest level. You're playing college football. You're playing for the love of the game. You're playing because you're getting paid. You're playing for your brothers out there to get a win. That's what it should be about. And I don't agree with, I don't want to hear that there's nothing to play for or we're not fighting for an AC championship anymore. You're fighting for pride. You're fighting for pride, man. I don't care if you're on a 1-game losing streak. I don't give a shit if you're on a 7-game losing streak. You are fighting for pride. And when you put that Pitt jersey on, it's totally different. Maybe different in all these other universities. When you throw on that Pitt uniform, man, you're fighting for the guys on your team today, but for the guys that were on this team 30, 40, 50 years ago. It's different. It's different here. It's Pittsburgh. Football is a religion here. When they go to church on Sundays, it doesn't matter what religion or creed you are. You're walking into a building with a Steelers uniform on, a Pitt uniform on, something. It's on your sleeve. It's a blue-collar mentality. That's what fits us here. And I just, to see some of those guys just not give a shit and just quit and then just tell guys in the locker room, we're not fighting for anything. I don't want to hear that shit. I don't. You are fighting for the guys and the brothers on your team. You're going to war, man. That's the fun shit. That's fun. But watching this team on Saturday, that wasn't Pitt. Like that wasn't the Pitt football team that I know. Whether it's game number 7 or game number 12. Don't matter. And I know those kids on those teams. I know them. And I know they're better than that. I know for a fact. I know each and every one of those dudes in that locker room can play football at this level. In the midst of it all, they can't let the negativity get to them. You gotta get back up. You gotta keep moving forward. You can't quit. You can't quit. The real dogs in life don't quit. Good times don't make the man. Adversity does. Adversity will show you who your true character is. When the cards are stacked against you, when life is stacked against you, you lock your feet in the ground and you move forward. It's that simple. Move your ass forward. Lock your feet in the ground and move forward. It's that simple. Be a warrior in a garden, not a gardener in a war. Great men were not built in times of comfort. They were built in times of adversity, retribution, and struggle. That's simple. And while I'm harping on this team right now, and I'm getting in this team's grill right now, coaching and player-wise, I'm still going to be watching on Sunday. I'm still going to be watching next Saturday. I wish I was traveling up there, but I'm busy with work. But I believe in these players. But guess what? My belief, our belief, everyone in this live stream right now, and I know you all do too, these players got to look in the mirror this week and find out if they're a dog or not. They got to believe in themselves. I can want it. You guys can want it. The coaches can want it. But the players got to want it. As Kirby Smart said, you got to want this shit. You got to want to eat. And I know these players can do it. It's that simple. Steel Will 51, JJ, appreciate the live stream. O-line has been an issue all season. Even when healthy, you have to fix it this offseason. Also, why have there been so many injuries in the past 3 seasons? Need to be durable. Brother, not a problem. Obviously, I love doing the live stream on Sundays. Obviously, right now, guys, we have 385 people watching the show If you're on X, head over to YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit like, share this with your friends, and obviously, too, leave a comment. Obviously, guys, I can't go through all the comments. There's a super chat button down below. Make a small donation to the program. It'll highlight on my screen, and I'll put it up on the screen, and we'll discuss it. So I appreciate it. Appreciate you still, Will, for subscribing to the show and supporting the show. Brother, it's college football, man. I mean, it's just sometimes it's just bad luck, and some guys have injuries, man. It does feel like every year, but I know every other football team goes through injuries. We're just going through more of them. You know what I mean? And they're in very important positions. The offensive line, people don't want to give enough love about it, but it is one of the toughest positions to play in college football. I mean, they are the anchor of a football team, because if you can't block, you can't move the football. It's that simple. Those guys, I still call them skill positions, because it is truly a skill to play offensive line in college football. You got to be a dog to play offensive line in college football, or for even the National Football League. It's that simple. But we're going through it, brother. You can't explain it. It's just whether they roll up on them. I mean, it's the nature of the beast. It's how the ball rolls. Just how it is. All we can do is support the players, wish them the best in terms of being able to get healthy. I want to see Lyndon Cooper back out there. I love Lyndon Cooper. I want him back out there healthy as hell. I want Eli Holstein back out there healthy as hell. I want Nate Yarnell healthy as hell. CJ Lee, he's going to be a dog next year. I want him healthy as hell. I mean, just want these guys to get healthy. And it's a young football team. There'll be a number of guys back, but we need them back healthy. And just what kills me is to start 7-0, guys. I mean, it defied all odds. And I don't want to hear, and I saw the stuff on X that, they were down 21-6 early on in the season. It's probably because they were facing a bad team, yada, 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 yada. Guess what? They won those football games. You got to make plays to win those football games. Call it what it is. I mean, they won those games. You can't just go back and play Monday morning quarterback and you go, oh, well, those teams weren't as good. They played the games. They won the games. It's that simple. I mean, they fought like hell. And watching that team fight like hell early on in the season, never in a million years would I have thought that I'd have seen the least amount of effort that I've seen in this team this past Saturday. Just never would have imagined it. And you guys know. And again, I get a lot of flack on X from a lot of people that say I stick up for the players too much. I don't give a shit. I don't care. I call a spade a spade. I'm not jumping on the bandwagon to fire everybody when there's numerous injuries across the board. Is it okay that we lost? No, it's not okay that we lost. Is it okay that we're on a 4-game losing streak? Hell no, it's not okay we're on a 4-game losing streak. But I'm calling a spade a spade. There's injuries and severe injuries across the board. We're going to see how hard this team fights this weekend against Boston College up in Boston. We're going to find out. And we're going to find out who wants to play. And I would expect you're going to see Joel Goff more often. You'll probably see Zion Fowler-El get more repetitions. Cameron Lindsey should be getting more repetitions at linebacker. I think just to start filling him in, get him some time in there for next season. Some more DBs. Anderson should be getting more in terms of the safety room. Cruz Brookins, Javon McIntyre, P.J. O'Brien. I mean, all these guys, it's got to get moving. We're going to find out which guys really want to be out there. And obviously, Tamarian Crumpley, I want to see him get more time at the cornerback position. I expect Rylan Gandy to bounce back to what he usually plays like. Rylan Gandy has had a good year, guys. At the end of the day, he had one bad game. He's had a good year overall, and he's gotten better every week and every week. All right. Guys, again, the super chat button. I'm going through a bunch of this stuff. I know I can't get to all of them. Going through a bunch of the comments right now. We completely quit. As a fan, it hurt. Yeah, I mean, watching it was bad overall. Boy, this is a good live show, guys. Again, now we're really drawing numbers now. We're up to a 400, telling me here between X and YouTube, which shows me both. We're up to 470 people, guys. Obviously, I know Pitt's playing basketball right now, and they're playing really well. from what I was looking at before he jumped on the stream. If you have not done so, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. And if you're just joining, if you want your comment to be read, because obviously I'm going through the number of them, I can't see them all, hit the super chat button, make a small donation to the program. It'll light up for me, and then I'll put it up on the screen. Well, as I say that, of course, NIL means paying fans get a real say now. Film doesn't lie. To the players that quit, either shape up or hit the portal before BC. Will, first off, thank you for the super chat donation. I appreciate it. As always, you've been a great supporter of the show, and I'm very appreciative of always of what you guys do. You, Adam, Chicken, Steel, Will. I mean, all you guys are, Jane, and the amount of players' parents that watch this show too. I appreciate you guys too. NIL means paying fans get a real say now. Film doesn't lie. To the players that quit, either shape up or hit the portal before BC. And Will, I agree. At the end of the day, they can go into negotiations with Pitt or whatever they want. But at the end of the day, I'm telling the players right now, they're going to go back and look at the stats. They're going to go back and look at each and every game. And if you're not playing well or you give up, they're not going to get paid. The guys who played the best are going to get paid the most. It's that simple, and it's fair. When Pitt made that adjustment from, and if you read in the ESPN article, which I knew about beforehand, Pitt went from the system of paying every player on the team to now just paying the players that are performing at a high level. It's that simple because of the world we are in college athletics. Chris Bickle, who is the CEO of Alliance 412, has done a hell of a job. And again, I actually want to see this here if I have it on my Twitter page still. Let's see here. I'm going to try to find it here on my page here. Here it is. All right, I'm going to share my screen with you guys. And this is a pure comment right here. Let's see here. Hold on. I'm going to share my screen here. Adam, I see your super chat as well. I'm going to get to it regardless, no matter what, here in a second. Just going to share my screen here with you guys. Oops. Wrong one. Let me share it here. Present. Share screen. Share screen. All right.
And again, we need everybody else's support out there as well.
All right. This is Chris Bickle and Pat Narduzzi early on in the year. And guys, I've said it before, this is a massive, massive factor. And when he says stuff like this, it's the honest to God's truth. Okay. And that it's everyone involved. If I can get it to play now.
That that Chris Bickle and the collective has stepped up. And again, we need everybody else's support out there as well. And it's not just Chris Bickle. He's doing it right now by, just about by himself right now. But we want to get more people involved. That's why I wanted to make sure he was on the show tonight.
And that's a great opportunity, Chris. So explain how that works, because everybody can participate in Alliance 412.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, like Coach said, we started it. We put the financials together for the foundation. But we're excited and really depending on the general public, the Pitt fans, because this is, I say it like behind closed doors to our staff, our people who helped me build the company. It's like, including the players, the coaches, whatever. But we say this is our time. As fans, this puts things on a level playing field, and we all want to see championships here at Pitt. And for me, I mean, it's a mechanism to do that. I mean, everyone's doing it around the country, but for us, we want to do it big. We're not here for mediocrity. So
we're not here for mediocrity.
That, we need the help. We need people to go to Alliance 412 and sign up and get a membership. That's how we're going to sustain this. And sustaining success is difficult in anything you do, any business. I don't care if it's college football, Main Street, Wall Street, whatever it is. It's difficult to do. So the more support we get, and I really encourage everyone to get out there, and no matter what you give, no matter what membership, it's going to the players, it's going to the right people. And that's what this is about.
And they're loving it.
And that's a fact right there, man. I mean, we're not here for mediocrity. It's hard to sustain success. But this is why, for me, I'm in the 4-1-2 level. Like, I don't want to see these losses occur over and over and over again. These bullshit losses. That's why I give to the team. Because guess what? You can bet your ass Bickle, John Pelusi, Jeff Goldberg, Doug Whaley. Doug Whaley is the general manager of Alliance 412 in terms of, business development. Obviously, too, looking at players, which players are ones to pay or not. I mean, at the end of the day, they're going to look at it, and that's why, Will, to your point, NIL means paying fans get a real say now. We get a decision on how well are we going to pay our players, the ones that actually want to be here, and the ones that don't, they can go. It's that simple. So, Will, great comment and appreciate the super chat. Adam, another super chat. Thank you again for being a subscriber to the show, and also too, thank you for the super chat donation to the show. Will Pitt keep Reed, Eli, Lewis, Johnson, Biles? I think out of that group that's there, I would say Eli's back, Lewis is back, and I'm going to go with Johnson is back and Biles. Reed, I think, has a question mark. I think Reed will come back, obviously, because of Cade Bell, but there's going to be a lot of suitors for him. I just think that now with how Pitt runs things, they're adding more revenue in. You're going to see Alan Green really do a hell of a job in terms of business development. His hiring has been top shelf. I'm extremely pumped about it. I know fans were upset about it because he didn't do a great job at Auburn. Guys, Auburn is an absolute shit show. I mean, I'm sorry to break that to you. I mean, at the end of the day, and also too, he's the one who actually brought on a coach that was actually highly sought after from a number of different people. But Adam, to your point, I would say keeping all those, if I had to give you a percentage, I would give you 70%. 70% would keep all those guys. That's where I'm at this point. And the more and more people we get Alliance 412, the more and more we get there. And I know Alan Green's going to do a hell of a job. And from what I've heard about him, a very likable individual, an extremely hardworking individual, but a guy who's going to work his ass off for Pitt, and he loves to win. It's that simple. That's why I love him. I think he's going to be great for Pitt. And the volume of what we need to do to go forward to be competitive in college athletics, he's going to do a hell of a job. So I'm extremely happy he's here. But I'd say keeping all those guys, I'm at 70%. That's where I'm at. Thank you for the super chat and the subscriber to the show. Chicken 1515, always a great subscriber to the show, a tremendous football fan in general. After Auburn, Alabama, Oklahoma is Alabama State champs. Boomer Sooner. Hey, I'll tell you what, brother. Congratulations to the Oklahoma Sooners. Give them a little bit of that horns down right there. Oklahoma with an incredible victory this past week against Alabama at home. I know Jason Watkins has to be all pumped up at the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. Shout out to them. Thank you for the super chat donation to the show. Truly appreciate it. And shout out to Oklahoma, man, beating the Alabama Crimson Tide at home. And I believe you guys are bowl eligible now, which is huge. Hell yeah. So, I mean, congratulations there, man. Overall, guys, I mean, you guys saw from what, from Chris Bickle was saying there. I mean, it's a fact. It's going all in and all out. Trying to see if I had anything else in here. Let's see here. Just double checking, guys, to make sure I didn't miss any more super chats, obviously, making sure I got all those because those are important. Now I'm hungry for some chicken. Boomer Sooner. Amen, Will. And the ones that quit have to learn they're not entitled to anything when you're on the field, whether it's practice or game day or in film room. You're either earning your money or not. Amen. Making sure not missing any other super chats here. But, guys, I mean, at the end of the day, I understand. And, again, I'm saying this flat out because I have the nut jobs who follow me on X and just want to just hit me up on X all the time and tag me and stuff that I'm embracing mediocrity, which I'm not, and again, get pissed off me all I want. I'm truly one of those people that don't give a shit. It's A-okay to be upset. They should not have lost all 4 of those games. They should not be on a 4-game losing streak. I agree. And I don't agree with mediocrity. I don't. But these last couple games, besides the defensive effort and guys quitting, which I've called that out here today, there have been severe injuries, guys. And we've seen Cade Bell's offense work. We've seen Cade Bell's offense work. We've seen it work on numerous outsets between Eli Holstein and Nate Yarnell. I mean, hell, they threw for 350 yards against Clemson, even with all the injuries. And then we lost Lyndon Cooper, the 3rd offensive lineman we've lost this year. There has to be an understanding from that. And also, too, it's a young team. And I know people are all upset. I keep saying we were 3-9 last year. Now we're at 7-4. I'm not saying we should be satisfied with it. I'm not saying we should be happy with it. None of that. What I am saying, though, is that the miraculous turnaround from last year with this young of a team, and if people and fans want more veteran players, you have to donate to Alliance 412 because it comes down to money. I'm just being real with you guys. I could just say that, Pitt sucks at recruiting. They just can't get certain guys in here, all this, yada, yada, yada. That would be unfair to you guys. I'm telling you the truth. It's about the money. It's about the Benjamins. Just calling it what it is. And there are guys in this team that are getting paid right now that didn't play like they should have this past weekend that probably won't be here next year. They're going to go out and use that money elsewhere. And the more we can be competitive in NIL, the more players that will come in here. And that still means an adjustment for Pat Narduzzi, who can't continue to lose these squabble games against Virginia and all these teams. That's still on him. He needs to be better. He wants to be a great coach for his attitude and how he acts. He needs to coach better. It's that simple. Fact over fiction. The guy needs to coach better. It's that simple. Can talk as tough all you want. Guess what? You got to win football games. It's how you're judged. So you better get after it. But also, too, it comes down to the Benjamins to bring those players in. It's how it is. It is the God's honest truth. Chicken 1515, JJ, love your unbiased content. Chicken, I love you, brother. Obviously, too, I appreciate all of my Sooner fans, all my Oklahoma Sooner fans, all my Big Ten fans, SEC fans. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys for always being subscribers to the show. And again, I also love this. I also love this after Auburn, Alabama. That was such a great comment, Chicken. But guys, the whole point is to stick in there right now. There are going to be guys called out. There's literally 2 more games. There's 2 guaranteed games left. And I'm still in the bias of if Pitt's able to win these next 2 games, you get the 9 wins, you're 9-4 overall, which is regardless of how it ended and how this streak went, it's still an improvement from last year. You rally the troops. You find out who's as I always say, what spring is for, on board and overboard, who's on board and overboard. Find out who wants to be here, keep them here, who doesn't, get them out, get guys in here, make the adjustments, hit the portal for offensive linemen, defensive linemen, probably some DBs, because obviously with guys graduating the offensive line, probably a wide receiver because the guy's graduating. Kanate Mumfield is a hell of a wide receiver. We're going to miss him next year. I would think we hit the portal for a guy there. You'll probably see some true freshmen that are going to be playing. Demarion Folks just got raised to a 4-star recruit from On3. He's a tremendous guy. He's a tremendous football player. I think he can actually play early on with his speed and his route running. I think he's actually can be able to play at this level immediately. There'll be some guys that play. Caleb Holmes, a guy that's a true freshman, teammates with B.J. Williams. B.J. Williams, Caleb Holmes, and Ryan Baer are really, a lot of the future, what's going to go forward. Preferably, I think Jackson Brown should get more looks. I think Terrence Eno should get more looks. That's what it comes down to. These guys got to start getting looks and finding out who we have on board or who's overboard. It's that simple. And that's what it comes down to. So if there's no more super chats, Chicken, I always appreciate you. Love your unbiased content. If there's no more questions or anything like that, guys, I think that will probably do it for us tonight. If you have not done so, subscribe to the channel. Again, I appreciate everything you guys do. Again, I appreciate all of the subscribers, obviously through the super chats. Obviously, it's a great conversation to have overall. We're very appreciative for everything that you guys do in supporting the show, supporting the channel. Share this with your friends. When this is posted, leave your comments down below. What did you like? What did you hate about the game on Saturday? Let me know your thoughts, what you want to see going forward. And then, obviously, too, as we get towards the offseason here, we're going to start having More player interviews probably in between the end of the season and the bowl game. We'll have some interviews there. We'll bring on some special guests, and maybe too, we'll do a live stream forum where I'll put the streaming down below here. We're going to have a live call-in show, and instead of putting up comments on the comment screen here, maybe we'll put something else there. Another super chat here. Wow. Chicken, $20 donation. Wow, very thankful. Chicken, thank you so much for the donation, man. Next, Ron, me, JJ. Amen, brother. Yeah. Oh, Will, yeah. Trust me, brother. It's gonna be coming, brother. There's gonna be a lot of information I can drop on those because I don't have my own forum for like a Rivals or something like that. We'll do an insider stuff there. Chicken, again, thank you so much, guys, for the donations overall. Thank you for the $20 donation to the show. It truly helps out. It truly helps out the show overall for new equipment, things to move forward to grow this show. But more importantly, we're going to be doing a lot more stuff with Pitt football, player interviews, coaching interviews, but too also a lot of ACC content coming up. Rankings of the ACC. Should Clemson, Miami, and SMU be all three of them be in the college football playoff? My answer is yes, and I'll be having a video out on why that should be occurring. And we'll be doing an ACC live. We'll be having huge conversations on that. We'll be talking about the college football playoff, the biases between certain conferences, things of that nature. We'll be doing a bunch of that as well. So it's going to be it's going to be a good time overall. So, guys, cannot thank you enough. Chicken, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. We'll take a shot to that. Appreciate everything you do for the show, Chicken. Will, Adam, thank you so much for your super chats here tonight. Guys, hang in there. We're 7-4. We have the potential to go 8-4 here this week and potentially 9-4 at the bowl game. That's where we're at. We're going to find out which guys want to be here. We're going to find out which coaches truly want to be here going forward. And that goes through with the coaches that are on staff, the support staff, everything. So we're going to find out what team we got here as the Pitt Panthers head to Boston College up in Boston, Massachusetts on Saturday. I believe it's going to be a noontime game. We'll be watching that there. Thank you for everyone who has tuned into the show today. Beyond thankful. Cannot thank you guys enough for everything that you do for the show. Guys, as always and forever, hail to Pitt and hail to the ACC. I'll see you next time.